All right, how's everyone doing today? Happy Wednesday. I know some of you are not ready for fall to hit officially anyway, right? Being in the south here, it's still super hot anyway, so it doesn't feel like fall yet. All right, so can you type in a 7 if you can see my screen okay and if I'm coming through nice and clear? Type in a 7 for me. Excellent. Thanks, Jason. Okay, great. Yeah, I did get a different mic finally. And the reason I say finally, I don't like having things on my ears. But this headset tends to be pretty darn clear, and so I'm just gonna go ahead and use it. I do like the desk ones where I don't even have to have everything on my head. But I figure people were saying there was some echoing on that one, and so it's time for me to listen to the customers. All right, again, welcome. So I'll start holding these every other week, every other Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern. If you can't attend, these will be recorded and sent out as well. But the ultimate goal, the reason I hold these is just to kind of give you a big picture feel for what I'm seeing in the markets. And I typically take the summers off just to spend more time with my kids. Now I'm sick of my kids, so I'm ready to do this again. No, I'm not sick of my kids, but yeah, it's just kind of the way it is, right? Uh, I do less trading in the summer. I still trade in the summer, but a little bit less. And then when after Labor Day, I tend to get. Oh, is it? That's odd. Let me fix the chat. Bear with me. See if I can get that. I'm not sure why the chat is disabled, Bill. Interesting. Okay, so if I can't get it fixed now, I will get it fixed for 2 weeks from now. And you can always type in a question if you have a comment then. Okay? Like Jason did and Bill. But let me just see real quickly if I can fix that. I don't like that we can't chat. Oh, here we go. Attendees can chat with. Here we go. Now you should be able to type in the chat, so go ahead and try it out. I'll have to fix that default though. All right, cool. Thanks. I thought everybody's ignoring me. I'm like, geez, oh, Pete's. Everyone's mad at me. Okay, so, all right, so let's get to the good stuff. So, again, the purpose of the reason I do these is just really to kind of give back, give you my overall explanation on what things are doing and why they're doing it. And then from there, you could decide. And that it also allows me to then show you every 2 weeks, my trading style and how I trade. Okay, so that way, if it's something that you like, if it's a good fit, then there's opportunity for you to purchase some of that stuff. In most cases, a lot of you already have it, and it's just good to validate. Oh yeah, Dr. Keith's thinking the same thing I am based off of the indicators and so forth, right? The other thing that I'll be doing a little bit more of, not today, but in a couple weeks, I probably will dedicate the last 10 or 15 minutes uh, to looking at some of the day trading charts. Even if that means I go over the hour, I'll probably start doing that because the ultimate goal is this is more of a swing trading webinar. But I know a lot of you do both, including myself, and so I wanted to spend some time with day trading. I'm not going to do it today though. I wasn't fully prepared, but a student requested that and just today, and I'm like, you know what? That's actually a really good idea. I will start doing that here in the near future. Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. Okay. All right. So first and foremost, let's kind of take a look at the markets here. And I got the S&P, and I usually put the futures contract up. So if you just trade stocks, it doesn't really matter. It could be the SPY or whatever. But the reason I usually do that during my analysis is because there's no gaps and so forth then. Okay. And so, interesting enough, right? We had the run up in the markets, and then you can see here the Laguerre triggered short right here with red Hackenacci candles. And again, just some general review for you folks that are new. The candlesticks that you see on the chart here are Hackenacci, but you can still see the actual open and close of actual price. So the white bar is the open, the red bar is the close, but then it's got a solid green Hackenacci. Okay, I only use Hackenacci candles, but I also want to know what the actual price did. So for today, for example, price opened up right here. You see the white line? And here's where it currently is at. So that red line will still move because actual price is still moving. And obviously we're up 45 points right now. So we hit the bottom of the market. Now we're going to go straight up, right? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Remember, in any trend, so this was highly predictable, right? Why is that? Well, seasonality says, right around Labor Day, we typically start heading lower until late September into October, okay? And so I don't just blindly go short then, obviously. The trigger happened to be a perfect timing trigger, though. It doesn't always work out that perfectly. And then the way I like to manage trades, so if I was short the S&P, okay, I always take partial profits and all that good stuff, but I don't exit the entire trade until I get a red dot. I'm sorry, in this case, a green dot, right? The opposite color dot. I stay in on yellows, but when you're short in this case, my exit day will be when I get a green dot. So everybody knows, if Dr. Keith was in this trade, when would he exit? It would be on the green dot, okay? And if you get into a trade and it becomes a losing trade, you can also exit on that green dot. So that way, as a swing trader, you're focused on small losses. You'll get some small wins, but then you'll get some of these bigger wins, right? So people could say to me, well, Dr. Keith, this is definitely, look at today's turnaround. This is the bottom at 3,900. You better get out. You're going to give up some of your profits. That is absolutely very possible, right? But what I have found over time, remember, I've already taken partial profits, and I've just, the last part of my position is short. I try to stay in a winners as long as I can, okay? Because that's how you grow accounts. So even if this does turn around now, and maybe it's just a 1 or 2 day and then it'll come right back down, right? In every uptrend and in every downtrend, price doesn't go up or down every day, right? So what does today mean to me? Nothing. It's just another trading day. And at this point, at 1 o'clock Eastern, 1:08 Eastern, we're up 43 points on the S&P. I could look at the chart at 4 o'clock tonight. We could be down 43 points. We don't really know at this point, okay? Certainly, it looks like opportunity here that 3,900, a lot of buyers came in, right? I agree with you 100%. 100% on that. But I'm going to let Hackenacci manage it. The other thing you could do, if you're in that point, you're like, well, I don't want to give up anything, but I want to try to stay in the trade. Go to the 4 hour, okay? And when you look at the 4 hour, now you've got the green dot, and so, that could be your exit point. But what I caution all of you, don't try to get out too early on some of these trades, because then you'll kick yourself. Because the way I build account, I'll take small losses. I'll say this 1,000 times this year, right? I'll take some small wins, but then you'll get some of these bigger wins. The bigger wins is what grows the account. So don't worry about small losses. Small wins are fine, but you'll get some of these big wins, and that's what builds the account up, okay? I'm not worried about catching tops and catching bottoms. That's all nonsense. Usually we'll get about 80% of the entire trade when you have a Laguerre trigger like this and you're waiting for the green Hackenacci to exit. Roughly you'll get about 80% of the entire trade. What's the unknown? We don't know how far this is going to go before we get the green dot, right? We don't know. It could be today, right? Maybe when it opens up the new bar tonight, it'll be a yellow dot right here, which would be one green Hackenacci. And then maybe, what's today? Wednesday, then Thursday, right? So then Friday could be a green, right? And then we get a green dot, and that could be our exit point, and it was still a nice little win. But what if it's not, right? What if it continues down? So, we'll look at several trades throughout the year where it has some fantastic runners. The indexes are always tougher to get major runners because they're always going back and forth, right? But look at some of your favorite stocks and look at some of the trends. You'll be amazed. Okay, so when we look at the S&P, let me just show you something that I've been looking at. A lot of you have already seen this in the past, but so I like to look at a snapshot of client positioning in the FX market on the S&P. Okay, so this is one large broker, and when I was saying a couple of weeks ago that we're probably close to a top in the market, at least a short-term, right, a short-term top in the market. The reason I was looking at that is, one, we knew from a seasonal standpoint, right, the market's usually right around Labor Day starts heading lower. But two, and just as importantly, at the time, retailers were as net short as they've been for the entire year. Okay? And so as they're shorting the market, down here, see how they're shorting the market? The red line, shorting the market, shorting the market. What was price doing, folks? Was it going lower or was it going higher? Go ahead and type that in. What was actual price doing while they were shorting the hell out of the market? Excuse my French. Very important here. Yes, higher, up. And why is that, folks? What is your thought anyway on why that happened? Yeah, Bill's got it. He says smart money. So think about this. Trading is a business, okay? It's a business. So, it's called Bill Consulting, right, Bill? And when big money sees retail traders, small account traders, shorting the market, how do they make money? How do the big money make money? They go long, okay? And I know I'm oversimplifying this, but this is how the markets work. So as they kept shorting, market kept going higher. And again, that doesn't mean every day. Okay, nothing is every day, folks. But generally speaking. Now, so you're probably like, well, why did you think there was close to a top here? In here? Because at some point, they were net short. They have to cover their positions, right? They're getting blown out. They're getting destroyed. They have to cover these positions. So that's how I knew at some point we were going to start heading lower. Okay? Now, I don't have to worry about it too much, right? Because it's a pretty easy process. How do I figure that out? Well, right here. The Laguerre triggered short, and everything else was matching. So that was a pretty good opportunity for me to short. If I was wrong, let's say I would have got turned around, I got a green dot 2 days later, that's fine. I take a small loss. Who cares? If you're right, you got it. Okay? So it's absolutely amazing how seasonality and sentiment work together. And it's important to know sentiment because, even though this is in the Forex market, all retailer traders think alike. Okay? And so let me show you as well. So back here, okay, you see how retailers were extremely long? They were bullish the market. What did the market do? It tanked. Okay? I've been following this for over 10 plus years. This is not a timing indicator. It's sentiment. But it's actual positions of Forex traders. And the reason why it's so important is because if you watch, especially, during COVID and at the news and Russia with war, traders are so confused on, okay, because the news said this, the market should do this. What's really important is what are the retailer traders actually doing? And then go in the opposite direction, okay? So let's talk about, well, in fact, let me bring up the chart on oil. So again, I'm going to bring up the crude oil, the CL, but you could bring up on your charts USO, okay? Same thing for the most part. So during this downtrend on crude, what would you expect to see retailers on sentiment? Would you expect retailers to be bullish or bearish? What do you think? Right? I mean, crude went from 112 here down to 82. So do you think retailers have been going long during this time or short? Long or short? Go ahead, type it in. Yeah, long. Well, let's take a look. And again, it doesn't mean every day, but let's take a look. So I'm going to find crude here. Okay, so here's crude. Traders have been bullish. You see that? You see that? So who's making money off the traders of oil? The institutions, right? So this big move down today is very predictable. Now, in saying that, something interesting. We also know that they're the most net bullish they've been this year. Okay, this is roughly the entire year. This legend's wrong. I don't know why they do this. But regardless. So, I'm also very cautious. They're going to have to cover this soon. Okay, and a day like today, when you're getting a big move down to like 80, if it hits down to 80 here and we start getting reversal signals, we're probably going to get a bounce because those darn retailers have to get out of the trade. They're going long and they're just losing their you know what, right? Okay, so again, big picture. Think of it this way. Seasonality has been to the downside. Weekly Hakanachis have been red. Daily trend is down. Nice trigger right here. Okay, that's how you can make money in the market. Okay. Any questions on crude? Well, thanks, Bill. Okay. All right, let's take a look at gold. Now, gold is something that I do not use sentiment for. Okay? And you might say, why? I have found, again, from the 10 plus years I've been using sentiment, gold's not a good sentiment's not a good predictor of gold. I think the reason being is because people will hold gold for long-term positions, right? In many cases. So they're not going to get out. They're going to hold gold for as long as it takes. That's the only thing I can think of, because when I look at gold and I look at sentiment sometimes, there's not a good correlation. So just so you know, so those of you that start looking at sentiment, I don't use a correlation with metals at all for sentiment. Okay, but anyway, so we know we love seasonality to the downside, right, on gold. So again, perfect trigger here. Got a nice sell trigger, right? Then, gosh darn it, there's that green dot, got me out. Okay, so we'll call that a small win. But here's the beauty, right? You can get right back in 2 bars later on the next dot. Okay, now you're in business. So the question I get all the time is, well, Dr. Keith, you idiot, if you would have just held on here, obviously there was support here and everything else, or I should say resistance and everything else, you know, you wouldn't have had to go in and out. But what if it would have kept going, right? So I don't even worry about it. You know, when I'm swing trading, I just get out on these positions. I can always get right back in, because my goal is to protect myself. Small losses, I'll get some small wins. Then you get some of these big wins. Your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, then allows you to do that for a living because you're actually making money, right? Okay. So yeah, so gold though, I'm pretty much bearish now. So what I love to see is pullbacks to the upside and then resumptions down. Okay. Until the holiday trade, which is my favorite long play of the year on gold. Okay. But that's how seasonality can help you when you're looking at these big picture. Okay, let's take a look now at, let me organize these real quick. Bonds. And again, I'm putting the future symbols like you could look at TLT. Okay. So first and foremost, remember the trend is always your friend. So we've had seasonal to the downside on bonds. Okay. We basically had two good seasonals on bonds. We had the summer long, which is a beautiful one this year, and then once we get through roughly mid-August, then we start looking for sell triggers on bonds. Okay, so again, I know all this news on why bonds should go higher, why it should go lower, and I'm not saying some of those aren't or may not make sense, but I don't even worry about it. I just look at charts. Remember, I got my PhD in finance, and I don't even care. Okay, because to me, it's really what's going on versus all the fundamental BS that a lot of people are saying. Okay, so when you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 solid red, the last three are flat tops, which is really bearish, matching the seasonal, I'm absolutely only looking for short plays right now on bonds. Okay, so again, if you miss this, you can go to a 4-hour and look for a new entry, or be patient. You got plenty of time. Wait for this Laguerre to come back up, maybe a little bit, your retracement, maybe the top of the cloud here, and then look for your short. Okay, maybe it'll hold right here and give you that opportunity to go short here in the next week or two. Okay, but that should be our bias based on the clues that we have. Make sense? Good. Excellent. Okay, the dollar index. People have been telling me for weeks the dollar's topping. Well, they're going to be right at some point, right? But as you know, we don't really care. We're just going to follow the signals, right? Also very interesting, we're getting some divergence here. We had some divergence here. Then a few days later it came back. We're getting another divergence single here. We don't know exactly when. In an uptrend, we still get pullbacks, don't we? We still get pullbacks. So again, if you're in this trade, if you got back in right here, right? Yeah, you probably took partial profit, stop, break even, stop. See what happens. But if you're not, wait for that red dot here in the near future. If it turns back to green, then that could be a new entry. The trend is our friend. Seasonality is our friend. Weekly Hackenacci is bullish. That's how, my opinion, you try to beat the market. Go in that direction. Okay? The VIX. Okay, so the VIX been very interesting to me. Right, we came down to 20 for the first time in a long time. Now it's back up to 20. Well, today it went up to 27. Now it's back down to 25. I'm expecting a move up in September in the VIX. I don't know how high it'll go, but we'll wait and see. We'd love to see it go up to 33. And then look for a nice sell trigger on the VIX. But at this point, I'm still looking at it from a seasonal perspective for the VIX to spike at some point pretty nicely going into this month of September. All right, Bitcoin. So I don't have seasonal data yet on Bitcoin, right? But it's been following the markets pretty closely. Now today, it hit a new low, recent low, and we're getting divergence here. So we may end up getting a pullback to the upside. But again, Bitcoin's been so weak. I'm not trying to make a living going long on Bitcoin at this point. I'd wait for a pullback and then look to re-enter short, if anything, for you Bitcoin lovers. All right, let's take a look now at. Let's look at Apple. So now start getting to some individual stocks. Okay. What I try. The question is on yellow dots. What do I do with them? Okay. So let me just show you, like with Apple here. So Apple, one of my favorite trades is the summer Apple trade, right? And it was based off of that, and that was one of my trade of the months for July that I did publicly. Okay, so we had a trigger right here late June, and then you see like 3 bars later, break even. So that was a small, let's call it a break even trade, small loss, whichever you want, right? But then you can see, got right back in right here, okay? So let's just call it I think it's a break even. We'll call it a small loss. Then you get right back in. Okay, and then right here, darn it, you got one more. So that was a small win. Then you get right back in again, right here. Okay, and that was a nice play. Okay, the summer long play on Apple. Write that down for next year. Now, beautiful thing about Apple is then it reverts and there's a nice short play. Okay, seasonality wise, typically for at least another couple weeks, Apple is weak in September. So this is a beautiful trigger short on Apple. And again, no green dot yet. So anyway, one of the questions was, what do I do with the yellows? Okay, I don't exit a trade on a yellow. If you want to be conservative, you can take partial profits, right? But my goal is to stay in the trade as long as I can, which in this case would be a green dot. Okay? So even on a day like today, right? Flat top. I think Apple's going lower. It doesn't mean it will every day, but as long as I continue to get red dots or yellow dots, I'm staying short Apple. Okay? If you get out on yellows, just be consistent so you can track, right? I've done that, and I have always found that it's better to wait. But again, try it for yourself. Good question. So yeah, so I'm bearish for Apple, but here's a beautiful thing. Maybe you don't trade short, right? Well, at some point over the next month, we're going to bottom on Apple and then look at the nice seasonal long play, right? So then you'll know, okay? You'll know the rules to get long Apple. So you can make money long, you can make money short, and then you can make money long again, right? Everybody should love Apple. Now, for a lot of you traders, Google's come into play now as well, right? Now that they had the, what was it, big split, 20-to-1 split. So, again, you can start looking at, well, wait a minute. When we get into late September, that's usually the bottom on Google, right? So this was a nice trigger on Google, short. And see these yellows? Right? You could have got out here and said, oh, man, and that would have been a small win. But if you held it, right, now all of a sudden you're in better shape. You're better shape. Wait for that green dot, okay? But, 105 could be the bottom. We don't know yet. We don't know what the bottom's going to be, but we do know when we get into late September, October, I'll be looking for long plays on Google. Yeah, so one of the questions was, let me just go over here. So if you go to my website, seasonaltraderpro.com, we'll post some live events coming up here, okay? And you can register, that way you'll get the invites. So, this is the weekly market, which you're all part of, obviously. I'll be presenting with Wealth 365 October 10th to 15th. You can just click on there, register now. So keep an eye on the website as well as we put things up there, okay? Also, if you do like alerts, I did restart my alerts for stocks right here. And I do the stock itself, and then if there's an option play that's viable, I do an option play. I do shorter term, like on a 4-hour chart trigger, and daily triggers as well. So usually we're in the trades for anywhere from a few days to 2, 3, 4 weeks type of thing. But yeah, that's all on my website. And then again, if you want my trade of the month, just go put your name and email, and you'll get my trade of the month. One of the things that I do them, I post them on the public YouTube channel as well. So my September trade of the month is ADP. And what I said in the video, on the YouTube video, was there's no trigger yet. But once we get a trigger at some point here in the near future, when I wait for the weekly to turn around, right? ADP is going to be a great buy here in the near future. So just be patient on ADP. My August was Southern. Okay? And that's been a nice trade on Southern. It looks like we're getting a new trigger soon on Southern. My only caution is getting in right at highs. I don't like to do that. Other than that, I love Southern. My July, no surprise, was Apple, right? One of my favorite trades of the year. That was a beautiful, beautiful trade. And again, this is just my trade of the month. It's a free service that I give everybody if they want to subscribe. And then my last one I have for now is June. So if we go back to June, we had a trigger right here on SBAC, and you can see it went higher there too. So I'm grabbing that from my data mining package. Usually they're high probabilities that then match obviously the seasonal pattern with my indicator. But anyway, the reason I wanted to bring that up, it's free, and you get the trade of the month. Okay. Okay. So when you're looking at some of these opportunities, let's say you're a big fan of NVIDIA. Let me kind of show you what I look for to enter. So with NVIDIA is one of those stocks where I really only want to go long at this point. So the question is, well, how do I look to go long, right? We've got positive seasonality. So I wait for a couple things now. Okay, until I get at least one green Hackenacci. I know I'm coloring it red. I'm not good. I don't think I even have green here. Oh yeah, I do. So until I get one green Hackenacci candle weekly, okay, I'm not even looking to go long yet on NVIDIA. But once that happens, then I'll look for that daily trigger. Okay, that's how we'll look to make money on NVIDIA. So if this continues to fall, you're not losing sleep over it. The harder it falls, the better opportunity is going to be for you to go long. Okay? So again, I look for the direction of the seasonal movement. Then I look for the weekly Hackenacci to go in that direction. Then my actual trigger is like I show you off the daily, Laguerre and the green Hackenacci candles. Okay? Very, very patient, because gosh, we got so many stocks to trade. There's no reason to overdo it, right? And if you want me to look at any symbols, feel free to type them in, and I'll spend some time looking at the symbols you want to look at as well. Okay? All right, Domino's. Domino's is one of my favorite stocks coming up to trade long as well. So not yet, right? Look at that. This is very bearish. Very bearish. But in the near future, I'll be looking to go long on Domino's, okay? Can't stand the pizza. I think it's one of the worst pizzas out there. And I'm originally from Detroit area, so I can say that because of the owner living there. But man, their stock is always a nice little moneymaker there to the upside. Okay. Okay. CRM. So when you've had these moves down, and again, a lot of the seasonal was showing retracements. Okay, this time of year, very common, right? September in general is a weak month. So the nice thing though is everyone struggles with the entry, And what I have found, if you use the Hakanachi with the seasonal, so again, if you wait now for the weekly to turn green, then you get your daily triggers, you're going to save yourself a lot of pain. It's still not guaranteed, obviously, we wish, but you're going to save yourself some pain there, okay? Yeah, so let's take a look at, just looking at the CAR. So it's typically weaker. So you had a good entry. You had two good entries, actually. Right here, short, which was more of a break-even trade. But then right here, right, when it goes right back down. And what I also like about it, Avis, right, the overall trend is bearish, right? If you just kind of look at your chart, it's pretty obvious. So, you know, that was a beautiful, beautiful trade short. You know, both of these were, and it looks like this one will make you more money to the downside. Now, when we get into roughly October, we can start looking for longs as well, but I would want the weekly to turn around. That's very important to wait for that weekly to turn around. And when you're in a major downtrend, you may want to wait for 2 weeklies. Okay, there's no reason to jump the gun, because even if you got in at 200, you have room all the way up here to make money. So patience, right? Patience. So KUR doesn't have seasonal data yet, okay? Just hasn't been around long enough. But just from a pure chart standpoint, really what this is kind of consolidating right here, back and forth. So if you have and it's a cheap stock, I don't trade. Usually, I have to trade over $5 stocks. Okay, but regardless, you can look for some consolidation type opportunities if you like to trade that back and forth. Yeah, you're probably better off, Alan, waiting for some of these stocks that are more proven, that has some seasonal data behind it as well. Okay, I mean, for example, look at Mara. Mara's been around for a long time, and it had this major move down with the markets, right? Hit down almost $5. So if you're looking to buy something low and just hang on to it, you're better off doing things that have already proven themselves, right? That went from $5 to $18, right? That's over triple your profit. And even if you're doing it to hold it long term, right, you got in super cheap. So look at some of those more proven stocks. SDS. So SDS, obviously the overall pattern's to the downside on that. So what I'd be waiting for is that Laguerre trigger short, right? With red Hakanachi. So red Hakanachi, Laguerre trigger short, then we're off to the races to the short side. All right, any questions on that? Okay. So AMN, it's kind of sideways until October, right? So, and it has been pretty sideways. So what I'd be waiting for is a little bit closer to October. Look for those long entries once the weekly is green, okay? Hey, Tom, how are you? CMG, let's take a look. It's another one I can't stand the food. But boy, stock sure does well, right? So, trigger. The weekly is back to green, but look at the seasonal. Okay? And so, we are in an uptrend. So if you take it, so if I was going to take this and it's going against the seasonal, personally, I go in half the size. Okay, I wouldn't take it anyway because unless I'm just getting out at the highs here. Okay, so that's another thing that's a little bit not that it can't go through the highs, but a lot of times it won't. So I wouldn't take a trade even though it's got triggers because it's not matching the seasonal on Chipotle. Okay, but if we did, I'd go in half my size and I would manage it the same way. I would stay in until I get a red dot. Okay. Kroger's got earnings coming up on 9/9. Okay. And so this is one of those trades where if having a stop, you're going to see if you can roll over during earnings or not. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. So having a tight stop like that will guarantee a small loss. But then yet we could possibly roll right over. I have a feeling earnings aren't going to be that great this year on that third quarter and fourth quarter. Sure, Wayne wants to know about the different seasonality lines. So, very simple. The thicker one, the green, is the 10-year forecast. The purple is the 5. Meaning it's looking at the last 5 years during this calculation where the green is a 10. I focus on the green. The reason I have the 5-year on here is because certain stocks only have 5 years of data and I still want to know the seasonal. Okay, but I focus mainly on the green 10-year seasonal pattern. Yeah, it is, Doug. Definitely. Definitely. Okay, I think I got your question, Wayne. Let me know if I missed something. Retype it in. Microsoft. Let's take a look. Yeah, so Microsoft's got a great season in October. Yeah. Quarter 4, by the way, is my favorite quarter to trade. Absolutely. And so again, now you have a plan, right? You want the weekly to be green. Here, let me color it the right way. Right? You want the weekly to be green. Then you look for your triggers, right? Which is a Laguerre with the green Hakanachi. Or if it turns green and then you end up getting a green dot here, but yeah, that's going to be a great, I agree 100%. Looks like a great opportunity coming on Microsoft. Yep. All right, what else we got? Anything else you want to look at? Netflix, sure. And yeah, so in a couple weeks, I'll spend the last 10 or 15 minutes looking at day trades. Absolutely. Okay. That way, those of you that don't have any interest in day trades can exit. Those of you that want to become the next Wall Street gurus, you can stay on for it. All right, so Netflix, obviously, right? What a bad year it had. Um, at 162, it gives people opportunities to buy. But even then, I didn't want anything to do with it. So what I'm looking for now, we had the retracement up. It's coming back. I want to see higher lows here. Green Hakanachi. Then I'll look to play Netflix long. But I'm going in smaller size because it just hasn't been following any sort of good pattern with seasonality this year. And that happens with stocks. So until it normalizes, I'm going in smaller size if I even look at taking it. Okay. And that's one suggestion that I give to everybody is that if you're not sure about something, right, you have so many stocks to trade, there's no reason to rush in. There's no reason to rush in. Okay. And trade something else. don't worry about the FOMO, right? The fear of missing out, because you're always going to miss out on something. So focus on the ones that you can really that really look good. They're more predictable. Again, just something like Apple as far as predictability this year. It followed it perfectly. It followed the forecast up and then the forecast down. So the Apple's doing exactly what it should be doing. Those are the ones you really want to focus your efforts on. If there's a stock that's been kind of sporadic, back and forth, it's not really following anything, then just go to the next one. Okay? That's right, Daryl. They don't have Yellowstone on Netflix. That's exactly why I love Yellowstone. There's a lot of good fall shows coming back, right? Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you, folks. We'll plan on a couple weeks doing it all over again. Again, I can't stress enough though. Make sure you go to seasonaltraderpro.com and keep an eye on the webinars that I'll be doing. That way, again, you're always getting the things that are coming up. And if you want new alerts with the stocks, click on the trade ideas. Other than that, make sure you're subscribing to my favorite trade of the month. I grabbed that from my data mining, which is this data mining here, and I give one free one each month, and they're unbelievable. So other than that, folks, have a great rest of the week, and I'll see y'all in a couple weeks. Take care, everyone. Bye now.